Hello, everybody. Welcome to the prediction show, Top Rope Spoilers. Again, we had 3 votes, and this one right here took the cake.
Okay. 3 options for us to be able to pick everything. But hey, here we are. We're finally up to it. We said it earlier in our show. Thank you for hanging around with us. But now it's time to get down to the nitty gritty. If you don't mind me stealing an HQ quote, I'll send him his money. But at this point, everything we've talked about up to this point, all the storylines, all the transitions that have gone on since, really you could go back even as far as like Survivor Series of last year, maybe even further if you really want to, set up some good matchups here. But it all has led to this moment, WrestleMania. It's finally here. And yeah, we're not present, we're not at it. We talked about that just a couple of minutes ago. But the fact is we're here. First of all, a quick shout out to the people wearing our shirts, the Mania Club. If there was ever a time to wear them, it's today, representing Mania Club here for WrestleMania 36. If you haven't taken the time to go see them, they represent Connor's Cure. You can see the little marks here on our side. Kia wearing the wristband and bracelet as well. Wonderful cause. You guys obviously, most of them have heard of them. Yeah. Handling Connor's Cure and everything else for Connor the Crusher. The fight still goes on. That doesn't change. They always do great charity work and whatnot. We end up, having so many donations throughout our times, especially at Mania, which is why this year, was a bit of a downer, the fact that we couldn't be able to bring all of our fellow club members together. We love spending time with you guys, not just at Mania, but anywhere we go. We saw you guys at Royal Rumble. We saw you guys at Elimination Chamber. We saw you at Survivor Series. We miss you guys. We wish we could be there. But hey, let's enjoy Mania together as a virtual family, I suppose.
Yep, virtual.
And then let's enjoy it. But Mania Club, if you haven't seen them, they're on Facebook, they're on Twitter.
And they're on Instagram.
They make nice little jerseys like this every year. And of course, whenever you talk to them, you're supporting a really good cause.
Yes, you are.
But hey, that's not the main reason why you guys are here. Let's get down to the fun. Let's talk WrestleMania. First of all, we have our board of predictions, if you want to call it that. We have each of the matches set up, where we're going to have a quick second to discuss each match. How did we get here? What are our thoughts on it? And then our official predictions, to where later on when you guys go back and look at it, you can praise her for getting it right and you can make fun of me because I got it wrong. But let's get right to it. We're going to start with what we believe is, the low cards on the match. Not to say these aren't necessarily as important, but the ones that aren't going to be main eventing. And we're going to start with the one that Smackdown just kind of, helped get a little bit of clarity on, and that is the singles match between Otis and Dolph Ziggler.
Oh, goodness. I don't know what to say about this match besides the treachery we saw earlier. I'm kind of, I kind of had a hint after the way they were talking and how they were talking to each other, but I never thought she was going to actually go through it using Dolph as a pawn.
And this all of a sudden now puts Mandy Rose in a position to where now you don't know how she's going to feel about this, because she's perhaps caught some feelings about Dolph.
Yeah.
We know she caught feelings about Otis, but now it's almost like all 3 of them have just been a puppet and pawns in a particular game. So how will all of this play out? Will Mandy play a role ultimately one way or another? Will she inadvertently play a role, or will Sonya ultimately end up deciding this story?
I don't know. And if that's the case, whose corner do you think she's going to be in? Now, like you said, she had feelings for Otis. She was a pawn. She probably had feelings for Dolph. So whose corner is she going to be in, or is she just going to be neutral? How is it going to play out?
I hope she referees, honestly. Mandy.
You want to see her in the shirt?
Damn straight. That's a nice shirt. If I can't get AJ to do it, then Mandy's next. So we've seen how this goes. Love affair, love triangle, however you want to play it out. Who you got?
I'm picking Otis. I'm definitely picking Otis. I am a fan. I love him. I love heavy machinery. I mean, Dolph is pretty. That's pretty much, he's pretty. But Otis.
Interesting fact, though. Dolph, his first singles match. He's been in WWE for such a long time. He's getting his first singles match. But if it's official, she has the red pin of acknowledgement. That's what we're calling it. We're going whole Matt Hardy here or whatnot. But once it's on the board, it's official. Don't worry. I know you guys may have a hard time seeing this in the video. We will be taking photos of this, putting it live. So she's taking Otis. And from my side, I can tell you right now, as of about an hour ago, I was 100% Otis. But now I really don't know which way this is going to go. First of all, I'm going to just go for the record. This has pre-show screaming all over it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine this is going to be one of the main card matches. But based on everything, I got to believe it no other time than just WrestleMania is when the beast is supposed to get the girl when the one who's not the pretty boy does it. But in the grand picture, Otis is going to have more opportunities. I really do believe with it being his first singles match, I think it's going to be where you're going to finally give Dolph his moment. Granted, it may not be because of his own skills or anything else. I'm actually going to call Dolph Ziggler getting the win at WrestleMania.
Wow.
And I like Otis, and you know that too. I love it.
I mean, your vote all the way up until now was Otis, but that is kind of a shocker to me.
So then we transition back to Monday Night Raw, where we have a match that pretty much has no story at all, and that is Aleister Black going one-on-one with Bobby Lashley.
I feel like it was kind of thrown together, but you're taking Aleister and Bobby Lashley. Who's going to be the one to survive? Who's going to be the strongest one? Again, is Lana going to play a role in it?
I can't imagine how she's not. They've done a great job on Raw. They've only done one thing right. It's that they have managed to build Aleister up.
Yeah.
Granted, in squash matches, let me kick you once. Obviously, that's not going to happen to Bobby Lashley. But I mean, you're talking about a Mania match that has virtually no storyline. Another match that screams, pre-show. My turn to pick first this time. I think they've built him up too much. They've done too much to try to make him into what I'm hoping will be officially mid-card status starting at this point. I am taking Aleister Black to win this one.
For me, I don't know, because it's going to depend. Is Lana going to play a role? How is she going to play a role? And please, for the love of God, don't say she's going to use her annoying voice.
No.
What?
No voice of Lana. She's better seen, not heard.
I am taking Aleister.
Taking Aleister Black as well. So, good. So we have our first disagreement and our first agreement. We're getting there.
Yeah.
Moving on, we've got Elias taking on King Corbin. They gave a preview tonight on Smackdown of Elias potentially not being able to be cleared. This screams, shenanigans, as Stephanie would love to say. There's your shout out for tonight. Shenanigans. Where I could totally see Mojo taking Elias's place, or potentially even Gronkowski himself, the host of WrestleMania. Another one where it's just like you almost just took two people and just said, hey, y'all aren't doing anything, let's give you a match. But I don't know. I can't really get a good feel on this one.
I can't either, so I can't tell you who I'd pick. I mean, like...
Well, you're going to have to. It's a prediction show.
Well, yeah, I get it. I'd have to say Elias over the last couple of months has been so annoying to me, but, King Corbin and this whole King thing, I mean, goodness gracious, we already have a queen. We really don't. She don't need you. She don't need a king. So I'm going with Elias.
And that's going to be my pick as well. I do like Elias in this one. Elias missed out on an opportunity to be able to have a match last year, and they ended up basically squashing him out to John Cena before, Cena, of course, came back, Doctor of Thugonomics and whatnot. So, and then, of course, the year before, he was jobbed out to Cena prior to Cena getting jobbed to The Undertaker. So I think Elias has more than served his time. And honestly, I think this is kind of the final run of Corbin. And, maybe he'll finally break that King mantra and we can get him back to being what he was, and that was an absolute just beast who didn't work by the hour. So now we continue up the charts, and our first nice little surprise here as we move into the Smackdown title match, and look what we have here. Hey, yeah, that's right. We got sponsorship, we got work here. So Kia's going to preview it here real quick, and I'll be right back.
Ta-da! I mean, I don't know how much preview I can do, but, I mean, here it is. Right now, as of right now, the holders of it are Miz and Morrison. Can they keep these titles? What do you think? I want to hear from the crowd. What do you think? Leave it in the comments for us, please.
Absolutely. Ultimately, the match is a triple threat match. It is also a ladder match between the Miz and Morrison, the current champions, along with the Usos and the New Day. The New Day and the Usos, each 7-time champs. Miz and Morrison, this is their second or third run, albeit there's a nice long gap between. They've built them up as champions, but we know what the Usos and the New Day can bring to the table.
But here's the thing with Miz and Morrison. It's like they hadn't skipped a beat. You clearly saw it tonight if you were watching Smackdown, where they did the whole head thing. The whole... to the side. I mean, it's like they hadn't skipped a beat, they hadn't lost touch, they pretty much are in sync.
Absolutely. And, and you look at the match with, it being now a ladder match, you think that favors the Usos and it favors someone like Kofi Kingston. Because, again, you don't need both competitors to be able to climb the ladder, you just need one. to be able to claim the championships. But you also could argue Morrison would be very favored in this match as well. I could see this going a lot of ways. I believe it's my turn to pick first, right? I want to pick the Usos. Let me just state that. My heart is going to go with the Usos, and a lot of times when I'm going to make my picks here, it's going to end up being my heart versus if I was putting money on it. And obviously, no, not our money. Shoot, we ain't got enough of it. Otherwise, we'd be in a much bigger studio and have a lot more brighter lights. But I think they've done too much to build up Miz and Morrison for them to drop them down. Yes, even at Mania, I do think the whole no crowd thing is going to end up playing a role. My heart goes with the Usos, but as the person making the official pick that I have to live with, I'm going with the champs to retain Miz and Morrison. Who you got?
We can't live in the same house after this. We really
if
can't.
This is the one that's going to break us up, then we've got a lot of matches still left.
I have been day one since day one, so I'm picking. Ish. I'm picking my boys, the Usos.
No love for the New Day, I see.
No.
That's amazing. Remember a year ago, Kofi Kingston finally getting his Mania moment, and now he's back in the tag team division.
Well, it was well deserved. So.
Absolutely. So right now we're split on who wins this one, and it moves us into our next match. We're staying with Smackdown, but it's going to now be for the Intercontinental Championship. Sami Zayn, the incumbent champion, defending against Daniel Bryan. This is one where we had the shocker at Elimination Chamber. We attended, watched if you tune into my YouTube on the ring apron, just like we normally have, we'll see that we had the shocker of Sami Zayn being able to pull off the upset of Braun Strowman to win the Intercontinental Championship, and then this storyline of using his lackeys to try to duck a match with Daniel Bryan, and with the help of Drew Gulak, Bryan gets one anyway.
I feel like, Sami, as much as I don't agree with it, I feel like he did it the underhanded way, but what do you expect? I mean...
Did you hear that from the other room? I don't know if y'all could hear it, but I could hear our son in the other room go, "The Great Liberator!" He loves him some Sami Zayn.
Yes. But honestly, he deserves it. As much as I feel like he did it underhanded, I feel like he deserves it. He should keep it. As much as I love Daniel Bryan, and I love Daniel Bryan, my pick is Sami Zayn.
She's going to go with a retain of the Intercontinental Championship. Daniel Bryan has had many accolades over the time, a multiple-time world champion, multiple-time Intercontinental champion.
Yep.
Why are you going to build all this storyline with Sami being the great liberator and getting all these folks? There's absolutely no way that with him having people like Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura in his corner, that just Gulak alone is going to be enough. This is going to be an absolute just an old-fashioned wrestling match because Daniel Bryan is capable of doing it. We haven't seen Sami do it in a while, but he's finally going to get a chance to do so. I definitely going to see some underhanded tactics in this one from both sides, honestly.
We know Gulak was a heel at one point, so do you think he gets involved? Do you think Shinsuke? Do you think Cesaro? What would you say?
Interesting play, though. You also just said Gulak was a heel at one point. Is there any chance
he turns on Daniel?
Ooh, so this is good here, but I think no matter how you slice it, honestly, I am going with my official pick, so hear me out. I am going with Daniel Bryan by disqualification. I think he wins, but I think he wins by DQ, allowing Sami to keep the championship, and that storyline is going to go on for a little bit longer. So I do like Daniel Bryan officially getting the win, but not walking out champion.
Okay, with that being said, our next match, we believe, is the Raw Tag Titles, with, obviously, Street Profits holding it, and they go up against Angel Garza, the fine Angel Garza, and Austin Theory.
A nice little shocker there, bringing in the two NXT upstarts. And just put yourself in Austin Theory's shoes for just a quick second. 3 weeks ago, you're sitting in NXT. You're working your storyline with NXT, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, you're being told, hey, get to Orlando or get to Tampa or the Performance Center because you're not only going to go ahead and make your debut on Raw, you're getting a championship match at WrestleMania, and you have, 2 to 3 weeks to prepare. That's a major change-up. I don't care who you are.
Do you think he's going to make it there? With what we saw on Raw, you think Bianca's going to let him make it?
Well, I mean, it's dependent on who you ask. What we're referring to is the spill that Montez Ford took during the match where it looked like Seth Rollins was supposed to trip him, Seth was late or missed the swing, whatever, and Montez for some reason choosing to go ahead and do the flip. Having a chance to really kind of reflect on it, I'm not necessarily sure that was Austin's fault because I don't think he knew it was coming. I think Montez was Montez. I mean, we live with a hyperactive child. We should be used to this. Good Lord. So you look at this match, we've got two upstarts from NXT, of course, with the voluptuous and very well-managed Zelina Vega in the corner, which you know can make a very big difference, especially in a championship match. But you've spent the last couple of months building up the Street Profits. I do like the way that this NXT team is going, but I like the Profits to retain.
Yep. I would have to agree with you. They have the smoke. They cannot lose.
Should have brought the cup.
They are deserving. How are you going to take the titles off of them?
Not yet, anyway. And I don't know which team is necessarily going to do it, but I don't think you can take them off him yet. That is definitely going to be a crowd pleaser if you go with it. So far we've predicted 6 matches. We've got a couple of ones where we've agreed and a couple where we don't see eye to eye.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys are putting your picks down in the bottom.
In the
we
comments.
definitely want you guys to know. We want to know who you guys are picking. Are we getting them right? Are we getting them dead wrong? What are your thoughts? What are some shenanigans that you could possibly see through all of this? We want your opinions. We want your thoughts. So that way we can be able to make this as nice a show as possible. But hey, let's keep going. We got a lot of matches still to go through. We stay on Monday Night Raw for Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah.
Yeah, get it right, because he won't like that very much. I love them both. So when it comes to making my prediction, it's kind of up in the air. You have to understand both men are fighters. They are fighting men. They want what's best for the company. They want what's best for themselves. They put on a great show every time they go out there. Doesn't matter if it's nobody there. Doesn't matter if it's hundreds, thousands, billions. It doesn't matter how many people are in the arena. They put on a great show every time.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, you have to see that this is going to be a matchup between two guys that have been carrying Monday Night Raw for the past couple of months. That's no disrespect to people like Aleister Black, the Street Profits, Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, the women's division over there on Raw.
Let me correct you. Before Seth got hurt, he carried the whole Raw division
That's why he got
every year.
Having to carry the weight of an entire company on his back. But this is something to where Seth has really put himself in a position to where he's like, I'm going to make Raw better. And you really can go back all the way to Survivor Series when Raw was only able to get one victory. And now all of a sudden you're transitioning into, Raw has taken a step back and everything else. And he's the one that's going to fix it. Well, now the person who has been in his way every step of the way finally gets his one-on-one match. So finally, brass tacks. Who takes it?
I love Kevin Owens. He is a fighter. I'm gonna have to go with the Monday Night Messiah. There is no way I can pull against him.
No way, she says. No way she can pull against him. This is, some...
I got that.
This is, the matchup where, you want the good guy to win, and yet everything screams it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins has too many cards in his favor, too many people in his corner. This is, Kevin Owens has basically been fighting for all intents and purposes a 1 or 2 man war. He's gotten help from people like Samoa Joe. He's gotten help from the Street Profits, the War Raiders, throughout all of this, period of time. But ultimately it's been Owens that's been front and center. And for the most part, he's been the one that's been getting on the wrong end. Also, he presented it in his last promo. Rollins doesn't lose at Mania. It's not an Undertaker-esque streak, but the only WrestleMania he's lost at so far, he cashed in Money in the Bank later that same night in San Francisco.
By the way, that was my birthday wish, in case you were wondering.
Oh, yeah, and she screamed. I've got that on YouTube as well. Make sure you go look at it.
Yep.
I think this could be definitely a match that has the potential to be your match of the night on whichever night it falls on. But I am going to agree. I think the Monday Night Messiah takes this one. I do like Seth Rollins over Kevin Owens in this particular instance.
Not saying that Kevin is a bad person, but you have to think, he's made it fun, he's made it humorous, he's made it to where, he's headstrong, he's determined, you're not going to get in my way, you're not going to get me down, you knock me down, guess what, I'm popping back up. So I feel like, as much as I want to pull for Kevin, I'm rooting for Seth.
Absolutely. So now we move into what is going to be basically our only cross-promotional match.
Yeah.
And that is going to be for the women's tag titles. You've got the incumbent champions, the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, defending against the SmackDown team of Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross.
Cross Bliss.
Applesauce or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, goodness.
Now I'm just hungry.
We can eat afterwards.
The Kabuki Warriors have almost, like, their run as champions has been halted, and we could spend an entire episode talking just about how the women's tag titles have just come to a complete halt since Sasha and Bayley dropped them at Mania last year.
Yeah.
And I can hear the comment. You can literally hear ding, 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 ding in our comments right now of people.
You mean Haley and Savannah? Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be mad about bringing that up again, but the reality is this is not the direction we thought the women's tag titles were going to go.
I feel like, with that being said, as great as this title is, and I feel like it is a very great title for women. Men get to have it. You see Miz and Morrison with theirs. You see Street Profits with theirs. Why not let the women have it? And so, honestly, holding my breath, I feel like Savannah and Haley were probably right. The fighting champions have been, Bayley and Sasha. But on that same note, I feel like Cross and Bliss, every week that you needed them, they were there. So I feel like it was kind of how they lost it was kind of disappointing.
Well, we kept waiting on Cross and Bliss at some point, one of the two, to turn on each other, and they just haven't. It seems like, if anything, they've gotten closer to the point to where you can't picture the two of them not being together.
But, Lexi or Alexa has, had people where their guards have been down, and when it has come time, she has turned. But see, my thing is, she may be the one that, I don't know if it's going to happen here in this match, I don't know if it's going to happen later. I feel like she might be the one that's excited and happy about it. And I feel like Nikki, with all that insanity that she's got built up, she might be the one that flips the script and she might turn heel. So I can't really...
But we have to figure out, does that happen now, or do we have our first two-time women's tag champions? So I believe I am up first. Mm-hmm. And as I said, the women's tag titles have lost a lot of steam.
Yeah, they have.
Because of the fact that, you had Asuka go into the storylines of singles matches, mainly with Becky Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like you need to find a way to get these titles back on the map. Also, Raw has had the titles specifically over there for a year. I think it's time to transition them over.
Pull them back to SmackDown.
Well, someplace where you can actually be able to get some new teams, get some new challengers, and let's see if the titles can become relevant again. Also, moving them to SmackDown potentially opens the door for Boss and Hug to win it in the future.
That is true.
With that being said, I do feel like it's time for a change here. I'm going with Alexa and Nikki Cross to become the first two-time women's champions.
As much as I love this duo, and as much as I love the fact that they talk crap, I can't understand it, but someone out there is going to.
Someone provide translation. we need captions or something at the bottom.
I like the evil laughter of Kairi. Glad she's back. But honestly, I'm going to have to agree with you on this. I feel like outside of the Boss and Hug connection, Sasha and Bayley, I feel like they have been the second best fighting champions to hold those titles. So I'm going with Nikki, and I'm going with Alexa.
So, agreement on this particular match. So, we now transition into our next match, and I'm going to step over here for just a moment.
Our next match, in my opinion, Edge and Orton. Again, you should know better. For every married man, you do not mess with a married man's family. And Randy Orton obviously should know that. He is married with kids. You don't mess with the wife, you don't mess with the kids. And the fact that he continues to push and push and push and try to prove a point of, I did it for you, I did it for your kids, I love you, I love your kids, that really don't mean nothing to Edge.
If there is one story that WWE has written for WrestleMania that they have gotten right, every step of the way, it has been Edge and Orton.
Yep.
And for them to now get this match, and not just any match, a last man standing match in an empty arena where you're basically going to have the entire facility at your disposal with really nobody to stand between the two competitors. This has been one that's been written exactly right. They brought history into it. They brought that they were friends. They brought that they're enemies. They brought that, their previous addictions, where they were addicted to the spotlight and addicted to the moment. Adam Copeland was a junkie of Edge. He had to be that. And it's pulled on your heartstrings as two people who, at our very first WrestleMania that we attended, 27 in Atlanta, we saw what was at the time Edge's final match. She cried.
I did.
It was very much upsetting, only because, you know, we didn't know that was going to be his last match at the time.
I don't even think he knew.
I gotta think he had a gut feeling.
A gut feeling, but I don't think he knew.
Which is why when we attended the Royal Rumble 9 years later and his music hit.
Oh my God, I cried again. I'm not gonna even lie.
And this one we got on video again. Yep. YouTube, look at it. But the fact is, they've written this every step of the way. They've allowed vindictive Orton, the asshole Orton that has no qualms about hurting somebody, injuring somebody, RKOing women. You know.
I'm still mad about that.
You know, you've allowed vindictive Orton, which to me has always been the best Randy Orton, to be able to rear its head. And, you know, and then you've got Edge making his triumphant return, you know, after so many years. But you have to wonder, this is going to be only his second match back. He's had a couple of months off. Is he ready for this? And also, just a little side note, does the empty crowd really take away from this?
In my opinion, yes. Because you can't hear the roar of the crowd. You can't really get into it. I mean, in your mind, if you're a super fan like me, you, Savannah, Haley, Stephanie, you know, Misty, I feel like in your mind you can get behind it and you can, you know, get into it. But for those who are just tuning in and this is their first one, I feel like, you know, they're kind of saying, well, you know, we got into it. I feel like it's kind of a letdown. But,
You're up first.
I have a question.
Ooh, I like this.
I have a question for you, and I have a question for you guys. In your opinion, what has been the best RKO over the years from Randy Orton? Just like what has been the best spear from Edge over the years?
Ooh, the RKO one is a tie, and it always has been for some time. Go back about, it had to be about 10, 11 years ago. You had a wrestler named Evan Bourne trying to do an airborne off of the thing, which is basically a backwards sunset flip off of the ropes. And as he is in mid-transition, Orton pops up off the ground and RKOs him.
Oh my God, we were there for that.
It was insane. And then, of course, you can't count out, we just discussed Seth's only WrestleMania loss. Well, it came at the hands of a jump pop RKO where he attempted to hit the curb stomp, only to end up being lifted up in the air helplessly back into an RKO.
Oh, yeah.
That had to be the loudest pop I've heard in an outdoor stadium.
Right.
That hit because no one... Hey, as it is, no one saw it coming. It was out of nowhere.
Exactly.
So, and then as for the greatest spears, I mean, he's hit hundreds of them. But I got to argue it's the second spear to John Cena after he cashed in Money in the Bank that got him his world title.
You have to think going back that far. I loved both men, but to see that, I was like, that right there is like what got me. Got me into the heels. Because, you know, Cena was face, so I really didn't know what a heel was until then. But that's what got me into loving Edge as much as I do.
Ladies love a bad guy? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Is this truth fact? Again,
Well, for me, it's true.
I don't know how y'all feel.
I don't know about everybody else, but for me.
All right.
So my prediction is Edge. Edge. I don't know how to say it any other way.
I don't see how you can make this match official and not have Edge win this match. You know, because we've kind of heard the rumblings of how his contract is looking. We've kind of looked at how everything is setting up for him. How long is he going to be here? Is it going to be part-time? Is it going to be full-time? Obviously, the COVID-19 thing really playing a role in this. But I do think you've got to let him have his fanfare going back in. I like Edge as well to win over Randy Orton. Last man standing, you get a chance to see vindictive Orton, but I think Edge finds a way.
That rage, all that built-up rage, you're going to find a way.
And speaking of rage, and also to mention of don't fuck with people's wives. Ooh, sorry.
Oh, that's not the first one. That's not the first one.
I know it. We transition over to another storyline that has started involving people's wives. That moves to AJ Styles challenging The Undertaker at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Undertaker going for win number 25. Or actually, it's his 25th match. And I think he's going for win 23.
23, 24?
Well, he's 23-2, so I don't know. Somebody do the math for me. What's the record at the bottom?
Okay.
Again, I messed up that research. This is a boneyard match, which basically is a nice way of saying no one knows. You know, I think WWE had to avoid using the term graveyard or had burial match or anything with everything that's happening in the world. So you get a boneyard match. I picture this is going to be something that's going to be pre-filmed in like a graveyard or something.
I'm looking forward to it, actually.
But amazingly, it was Styles that challenged the Undertaker to this, and has also fired off those cheap shots, bringing Michelle McCool into it.
Actually, again, firing off those salvos about the wife. You figured you'd learn from one storyline, but I guess he looks pretty, and I guess that's what we'll go with. I don't know how much prettier he'll look once Taker defeats him, but we'll wait and see.
Was that a pick?
I just said, I made a comment. I never said it was a pick.
It's WrestleMania, which means you got to believe the Undertaker's favored, and I actually get first pick on this one. When you had the Undertaker get beat by Brock Lesnar, that was an absolute stunner. Nobody saw that coming.
Oh no, pin drop.
But when he lost to Roman Reigns a few years later, everybody kind of had a feeling that was the way it was going to go. That if there was anybody who could beat Taker again at Mania, it was Roman Reigns. And so this one, has something where, now the feeling of what it takes to be a person that can legitimately go beat The Undertaker. This does not have that feeling in any way. First of all, I'm going to just come out with it. I'm going to make it official on the video. If The Undertaker does not show up in a motorcycle with Michelle McCool in a leather jacket as his motorcycle wife on the back, leave this match out. I don't want to see it unless he shows up as American Badass Undertaker. And I think they've kind of been setting up that with Taker getting his promos. It's a boneyard match. All the salvos that have been fired, even with Anderson and Gallows potentially backing up AJ. This has no feeling that AJ has any chance to win. I've got The Undertaker.
So, I've had to hear it all week long since we actually saw the promo. Actually, excuse me, not all week, a couple of days, about how if it doesn't have what Steve wants, he's not going to watch. Well, I guess that'll be the only match you miss. My pick will be The Undertaker. I just want to see the American Badass. I really do. And I know we have, probably a couple of fans who want to see him too. So, if you want to see him, let us know.
I really do feel like they have the setup for that. So now we are entering what we consider our Big Six. These are your top championship matches as well as, our potential main events, or at least what we feel are the main events. And we're going to start with the match that has had the most preview up to this point, and that is the debut of the NXT Championships. This is the Women's Championship in a match where the champion, Rhea Ripley, will be defending against the Royal Rumble winner, Charlotte Flair, the 10-time champion. This has been the one that has had the most preview, the most hype, because she's challenging for a championship that no one expected her to choose, and bringing light to what has been a fantastic run of NXT. And I said in a previous episode that NXT, when it finally got its WrestleMania moment, it's not the main men's title that gets the spotlight.
No, it's the women's.
It's the women's championship that makes it to WrestleMania first, and rightfully so.
Again, what have I said for the last, couple of weeks? Women are shattering glass ceilings. Nothing different about this match.
They should stop building them as glass. I mean, just at that point, don't build ceilings, and you don't have to worry about breaking them down.
Then they'll start lifting the roof. So
that's it. And this one's kind of lost a little bit of steam, only because the competitors have not been able to really see each other, really have those confrontations like you were having, because you were having Rhea show up at Raw, and then you were having
Charlotte show up at NXT.
Absolutely, and you were getting those nice back and forths, and the crowds were getting into it, and then it really lost steam. Easily the biggest match so far of Rhea Ripley's career, though.
Yes, I like the whole backstory of what she went through to get here, why this title means so much to her. If you didn't see it, go back and look at, last week's NXT, if I'm correct, and you will see the whole story of how she got here and why this title means so much to her. But, with that being said, I love Charlotte to a degree. I'm not going to say, I don't love Rhea, but, my pick would be Rhea.
So she's picking Rhea to retain.
Yes.
This, of every match that is across the board, all 16 matches that are on the card, this has been the one that I can't get a feeling on at all. There are a couple of others where it's like you can't get a feeling because there's no story there. There's nothing, and you're kind of just making a pick for the sake of being a pick. But this one has had so much information, and I could legitimately see this going either direction based on how the storylines could progress. You could keep the title on Rhea Ripley, cementing her as the dominant champion, which means you now have her as the person who took down Charlotte, the person who has been a 10-time champion, the person that ended Asuka's streak at that same event. And really cementing the legacy of Ripley, and she's still only in her early 20s. But I also could easily see them putting the title back on Charlotte, the first main roster person to go back to NXT and win the championship and cementing really her legacy that I not only can dominate the main roster, but also can go back and show the NXT women's division that I am just as capable of doing so.
I feel like with that being said, I feel like my pick is, valid. I feel like Rhea is going to be the Queen's nightmare.
And, and the flip side of things, Charlotte was flat out honest in saying, I'm going to be too much to handle. And she's been cocky every step of the way, which is what Charlotte Flair has always been. Whether she's a face or whether she's a heel, she's confident because she has the name, but also the accolades to back it up. She has not been a person who has just come out here and just lived off her last name. She's gone out, she's competed, she's won championships. You like her, you don't like her, it doesn't matter. The fact is, Charlotte puts on good matches. Rhea is going to be in for the fight of her life, but I feel like Charlotte's going to be too much to handle. It's WrestleMania. She has too many moments, too much accolade, and I could see a nice transition back into NXT. Again, this is one of those where heart versus betting man picks differently, but I like Rhea, but I'm picking Charlotte to win this one. All right, well, that was a tough one to pick. Y'all know how much I love Rhea.
Yep, she can step on your neck, right?
All over it. So we now go back to SmackDown for the match that we probably are looking the most forward to, and I know half our audience out there at least has been waiting on this pick. The SmackDown Women's Title match, a 5-way elimination match starring Lacey Evans, Sasha Banks, Tamina, Naomi, and the incumbent champion, Bayley.
So you have the classy lady, the legit boss, the role model, Bayley. You have Tamina, who,
What, no nickname for her?
I mean...
She needs no nickname. You see her tonight?
She kicks everybody's heads off. That's her nickname. And then you have the glow girl, Naomi.
Now, it's interesting because this is an elimination match as well. So this is not first pin takes the win, which eliminated the possibility of Sasha and Bayley being able to pull off something to where one just pins the other to end the match quickly. Everybody at some point has to be eliminated, and it also means, like Cole tried to make mention to tonight, if Bayley gets eliminated before the end, she doesn't even necessarily have to be involved in the final fall to lose her championship.
Ooh.
And very quietly, of course, they made a very big deal about Bayley being the longest reigning SmackDown champion in the history since they adapted to the new SmackDown Live. Is this finally where it ends?
I can tell you one person doesn't want it to end, but I'm not going to mention no names.
I will, Savannah.
Don't throw her under the bus like that.
Well, I mean, you got to realize, we got people that are very much back and forth on the fence. And then you look at, each person here, I could legitimately see any of them making a run at the title only because I could see Lacey, who has had almost a year's worth of matches now.
Yeah, good matches.
And then obviously Naomi, Bayley, Sasha, all proven champions. Sasha, the one women's title that she's missing at this point. Could she go Grand Slam at WrestleMania? And then, of course, Tamina, the powerhouse, the big threat that has, finally come back. And, is it finally time for her to finally get a moment of her own? So I believe I am up first, and this is the one where y'all know me. I love me some Naomi, okay? I love her. I want to see that glow belt around her again, but I don't think this is the moment that it happens. I think that this is all setting up for one purpose, and that is to eventually lead up to a match, potentially at SummerSlam, between Bayley and Sasha Banks. The match has been sitting there brewing. You can feel the tension starting to kick in, so I do feel like one of those two has to walk out with the title, and with everything being done and everything being brought in play, I think this is where the tension finally comes into play.
I'm going to sit here, and since you're mentioning tension, let's go ahead and just take Sasha, for example. There's no love lost between her and Lacey, but understanding you have all three members of Team Bad. Do you think at any point she might turn on Bayley and help her team or her former team to, get down to brass tacks?
Well, you have to wonder if that kind of went out the door tonight with SmackDown, only because, she, of course, Tamina pinned Naomi tonight, and then also Sasha tried and ended up eating a Samoan drop as a result.
Yeah.
But I do feel like that Bayley has been a very capable champion. She is the role model. She has been the person that you want to, position as your top heel champion. And I do feel like, even if you take the title off of her and give it to someone like a Tamina or potentially a Sasha, that you still can have that heel title run.
Heel heat.
At the end of the day, there's got to be a pick, and just everything being considered, I think now is the opportune time to start working that back and forth. I am going to go with Bayley dropping the title. In fact, this is going to be my, out-of-the-box prediction. I'll see if I can get that trademarked. Not only will Bayley lose the title, I'm going to go she's eliminated first. I'm going to go with Bayley being the first person eliminated from the match, and I'm going to go with new champ being the boss, Sasha Banks.
By the way,
that S just above it.
By the way, did we see her outfit tonight? She looked like freaking Storm from X-Men. I'm gonna tell you.
Hopefully she'll wrestle with that tomorrow or Sunday, whenever that is. But that's just my opinion.
The male perspective.
Duh. Don't worry, we're gonna get to yours here in a minute.
Oh jeez.
Who you got?
I like all the picks, and as much as I was not behind Bayley, I do like this new Bayley. I do like the fact that she's heel. I like the haircut. I like the makeup, the new intro. And as much as I've been giving Savannah grief, and yes, I've given Savannah grief about her being the champ, I'm going to kind of miss it. I feel like she does lose tomorrow. Or Sunday. Or whenever WrestleMania is. I'm so lost for days.
So Bayley drops it, but who takes it?
I have to say Sasha. She's got the blue hair. She needs the blue belt. Sorry, my name is not Steve. Even though I think I can be Steve.
So, 2 picks, both going with the same person. We're both taking Sasha. All right, so now we transition up to our match up here in our top corner. The return of the 16-time champ John Cena as he gets ready to battle in a Firefly Funhouse match with the Fiend, Bray Wyatt.
So, who do you think is going to take this one? As much as I love John Cena and as much as he has turned into a part-timer, I feel like him coming back is kind of a way of saying, I'm back, I'm here, I'm going to get the job done. I know I'm not going to be liked by some. I'm going to be loved by others. That's just who John Cena is. Half the crowd likes him, half the crowd hates him, but he's going to do his job.
They shocked the world at Super Showdown by having The Fiend drop the Universal Championship to Goldberg. I'm not necessarily against the decision, but I will say that everyone expected The Fiend to be holding that title all the way up until Mania, so then for him to drop it and really so easily, was really a shock to a lot of people, and a lot of people on social media were mad about it. So I feel like, it was done as the perfect transition because realistically, you couldn't make the Universal title match with John Cena unless you were potentially prepared for Cena to win it. If he's not going to come back long term, you can't do that right now. So
I wouldn't do it. I mean, you hear me talk about you can't put the titles on a part-timer. As much as I love John Cena, he's no different. He's a part-timer at this point, and I feel like you cannot put a title on him unless he's coming back full-blown every week, delivering his great promo, so forth and so on.
And he even said it in his return back to Boston that he was not going to take a slot. But he took the match against Bray Wyatt because he even said himself, Bray is the biggest waste of talent and the most overrated person we've got. And yet, The Fiend has been a character that everyone's taken by storm. I've cosplayed. Check it out if you haven't already.
Yeah.
And been a relatively good one as well. You had The Fiend lose, and I really feel like if you have him lose again, even if it is to John Cena, I think all credibility of The Fiend is gone at this point.
It goes out the door. It goes out the door. As much as I'd love to say I want to see John Cena win, that's not really my answer right now. I would be very disappointed if The Fiend did not win. You have to think. Bray, The Fiend, Firefly Funhouse, he has literally put people over year after year after year after year using different themes, such as the rocking chair. And then you had the house that got burnt down by, of course, no other than Randy Orton. He's had Daniel Bryan on his team, where is he? He's had Daniel Bryan on his team as part of the Wyatt family. I feel like if you can give him all this, and you can have him put over everyone, then why not have him be put over by John Cena? John Cena is known for that.
This is also the opportunity for me to get a chance to kind of confirm a theory I announced on this show a couple of weeks ago, and that is where the Fiend gets his energy from. The Fiend lives off of vengeance and off revenge and off of anger from previous things. So that's the reason why he was able to be successful against people like The Miz and Daniel Bryan, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins. But he couldn't do anything against Goldberg because he had nothing to anger him. Now, that doesn't mean that in the future, now he has something to be mad, but that's the reason why it didn't work at the time. If there is any one person on this planet that he has absolute vengeance and anger against, it is John Cena.
Now, Cena said he's an absolute waste of talent, absolute waste of space. I love Cena. But I'm going to disagree, and this is the first time in how long? Ever since, 2005, that I've disagreed with his promos. Bray, to me, is not the biggest waste of talent. I'm not going to go into that, but I feel like he's done what he's supposed to. I feel like, if anything, between the two, the most talented, and I hate saying this, would be The Fiend. How can you not see it? Unless you're blind.
So, where does that lead your pick?
I love Cena. Cena's going to always be my boo. But I'm going to have to say The Fiend.
And I will say, for the record, been married to her, 6 years tomorrow. Hey, we're celebrating an anniversary on the show. So, yes. Hey, good for us.
Yep.
I will go ahead and tell you with 100% confirmation that is the first time she has ever picked against John Cena.
Yes. Don't let my oldest hear, for the love of goodness. He will never let me live it down.
Well, we'll have to make sure he avoids this video. But with that pick, I got to go with The Fiend as well. To me, you needed Cena to come back to help build back up the reputation of The Fiend if you're going to continue with it. And if you have The Fiend drop 2 matches in a row, especially a Firefly Funhouse match, where this is basically in his backyard, quite literally, with, everything being in his favor, and every mind game and every mental play being brought into this, you've got to have The Fiend win this match.
But you also saw when he was Bray Wyatt, he had the house in his favor too, and that didn't stop Randy Orton from burning it down. So is Cena going to be the Cena that we all know he can be, or we want him to be, and is he going to dig deep and find the revenge side, the not Dr. Thugonomics, but I'd say
I think you've got to be world champion Cena, if you got any chance to win.
That's exactly it.
So we transition into our first of the 2 world title matches. The one that, honestly, has changed up so many times, and WWE finally officially coming out with it today. The Universal Championship match officially changed up. It was originally supposed to be Roman Reigns taking on the champion Goldberg, but of course Roman coming out on his Instagram earlier this week, officially, amid rumors that he had backed out due to all of the stuff with COVID-19. He's immunocompromised with his battles with leukemia. And tonight on Smackdown, they finally make it official. It will now be Braun Strowman challenging Goldberg for the Universal Championship. So this is one where it's like another match where there's no storyline virtually going into it. They didn't even have a stare down or something tonight or any kind of backstage story. It's literally just, hey, Braun's taking Roman's place, and now let's see what happens. So, there's not much really to talk about on this one. Goldberg does pull the upset of The Fiend at Super Showdown, which makes him a legitimate threat. We know that size doesn't mean a thing because he's beaten people like Brock Lesnar. He's beaten people like The Fiend. He's been able to defeat people over his years in WCW like The Big Show and The Giant when he was in that persona. So that no matter the size of Braun Strowman, that means nothing to Brock Lesnar. Or not to Brock, but to Goldberg. So, it's this feeling of like this one kind of has just been a jumbled mess.
I can tell you it wasn't really a jumbled mess when we knew it was Roman. You have to think, if you're a fan of football, and me and my husband are, you have a Georgia fan and you have a Georgia Tech fan, or you did. But now with Roman, thinking of himself and, his immune system and everything else, I feel like because he's gone, now you have a part-timer, and I'm going to keep saying it, and then you have a full-timer in Braun Strowman. So who do you think, does he retain, or does Braun beat him? And if so, how does Braun beat him?
This is also another one of those situations where I feel like the empty crowd is going to potentially play a role because you won't have the crowd really to make a decision one way or another. But I can tell you there's a big difference between the way the crowd reacts to Goldberg versus the way the crowd reacts to someone like Brock Lesnar. They boo Brock. But yet Goldberg is doing the exact same thing that Brock's doing right now with the WWE Championship as a part-timer, and yet Goldberg gets cheered because people like him. He's always been a favorable person. He's mainly been a face for most of his career. Granted, a few heel runs late in the WCW days, and then a very small one when he was with WWE the first time around. And because this match was so thrown together, I feel like if they're going to keep it on Goldberg, this is how you're going to do it, because you're going to put the Universal title on Braun basically by giving him 1 to 2 days notice to win a title that he's had multiple attempts to win before and has not gotten the job done, but this is when he gets it done. So my pick first on this one, I'm actually going to go Goldberg to retain the Universal title. I know the whole thought process of, Goldberg's, this is his final appearance in his contract. Yeah, well, at 34, that was supposed to be Brock's final appearance as well, and you saw how something got done day of. But I just can't see a title change here, even if it is, with a part-timer keeping it, just because, you're going to build up Braun from what? I mean, this only can hurt you if you take it off of Goldberg.
Okay, well, I guess we're of a difference of opinion. I like Braun. I know he's always here. He's always ready to work. He comes in. There's never, even though he's supposed to be scary, get these hands, there is never...
As long as they're washed.
Yeah, please wash them or sanitize them. If you don't, stay away from me. I feel like, in my opinion, I have no love for Goldberg. I honestly... part-timer. I want to see the title on a full-timer.
And this is a Georgia fan dissing another Georgia
fan.
Hey.
Georgia fan. I love my boy AJ, even though he's going to get whooped by Taker. No, I don't. If you ask me to go to a game with him or him, I'm taking him.
Of course you're going to go with AJ Styles over Goldberg, 30-something, 50-something. I mean, come on.
Anyway, my prediction would be Braun.
So we think we're going to have a new Universal champ. And I'm not going to sit here and say that, it's the wrong decision if it goes with it, but to me that just, it makes it hard to put the title on somebody who basically got it with no storyline.
All right, we'll agree to disagree and move on.
So, and by moving on, we move to what we believe will be the two main events of the weekend. We're going to start with what we think will be the Saturday main event. That if you go ahead and set up all of the matches and everything else, we have an opportunity, and we may be completely off base with who we think is going to win, but we do feel that Saturday we're going to be main evented once again by the man and the women. Our Saturday main event will be for the Raw Women's Championship. It will be Becky Lynch defending her title at exactly the 1 year mark against the Elimination Chamber winner, Shayna Baszler.
So we have the man who, I'm going to go ahead and take as my pick versus the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler. Now, with that being said, as I said, Becky is my pick, and the reason I say that is because she's a fighter. She's Irish. She could fight me under the table. She could fight, honestly, I feel like she could fight Seth under the table. I'd watch. Of course you would. When she got bit on the neck, she got hurt for a little bit. She left the arena. She got stitched up. She got medicated. She came back. She was even angrier. And to see her angry, I feel like she's going to keep the title. The only way, and there's nothing against, I'm not dissing Shayna because Shayna is a very good person, good fighter, but the only way Becky loses the title if there's a surprise in there, and I feel Ronda could come back. Because you have to think, like you said, 1 year. Who did Ronda lose to? Becky. I feel like Ronda's coming back. If she's to come back with vengeance, I feel like she's going to sit here and say, my shoulders weren't on the mat completely. I feel like you wronged me. I feel like I want to, take that title off of you because it needs to come home to me. I feel like the only way that, again, Becky loses is if Ronda inserts herself, we've seen it done before, into this match at the last minute.
Now, see, I could see Ronda getting involved, but my viewpoint would be the exact polar opposite. I think that Becky has kind of set the storyline of going with, you are always going to be in Ronnie's shadow. You're never going to be able to, get out from underneath her. Everyone's going to talk about Ronda Rousey. Nobody's talking about Shayna Baszler. I could see Ronda Rousey potentially coming back and getting involved, but I could see it in favor of Becky because not only from her heel persona that she's going to make sure that Shayna remains in that shadow, but also Ronda doesn't want Shayna doing it. She wants to do it herself.
That's true. I get it.
So I definitely could see this potentially being, the way to go. The mind games have been there. Both have talked crap. Both we know are tough as nails. And again, you've got Becky Lynch, who's been champion for 1 year. She won it at Mania last year. She's held it an entire year, which is a hard thing to do at any level. You're up first on this one. Who you got?
So, with me saying Becky retains and Shayna does not get the title, and you made the comment of you feel like Ronda could technically, help Becky. So, on the next night, which would be Monday, if it goes through, do you think she comes back the next night and she tries to go for the title again?
It's possible. I know there's been a lot of conversation about, whoever wins potentially, being cocky enough to put the title on the line at Raw to, potentially open the door for another, person to win the championship, whether that's a Ronda Rousey or potentially someone to kind of shock the world. If you have Shayna win and then she gets cocky and then gets beat by somebody that maybe she beat in the chamber, like a Ruby Riott or Liv Morgan. I would love to see Liv with the title, but we'll see. But you said you've got Becky as your pick, so let's make it official.
And that's not going to change?
Mm-hmm. I think this is the perfect opportunity, though, for the storylines to really line themselves up. They've built Becky up for a year, and I honestly feel like Becky, has done great as champion, but I don't think she necessarily needs to have the title in order to be able to continue that man persona. She's always going to be at the forefront of potential title matches, but I do think this is where it ends, especially in front of the empty crowd, in front of the no noise, so nobody can boo the result. Mm-hmm. Nobody can do so. I do think it's time for there to be a transition. I'm actually going with Shayna Baszler to win the Raw Women's Championship.
By the way, as you all know, the person that makes the coats, Kim Lasskicker. Okay, I always get that wrong. I'm sorry. I feel like Becky's going to have one awesome jacket. If I know her mind is going a million miles a minute. I can't wait to see what jacket she comes out to on Mania Day.
I am looking forward to that as well. So that concludes our Saturday main event, and it moves us to our final match, which we believe will not only be the Sunday main event, but also the main event of WrestleMania itself.
Drew and Brock.
Is Drew McIntyre, the men's Royal Rumble champion winner, taking on the incumbent WWE champion, Brock Lesnar, for the WWE championship. We've seen a little bit of everything. We've seen fantastic Paul Heyman promos. Which that's all he does is just drop great promo after great promo after
and
great
he comes up with that on the fly. I cannot think like that. I have to write it down.
The man's good at what he does.
Hey.
But we've got an opportunity to also get a chance to really see the redemption story of Drew McIntyre. Coming in as such a young kid, labeled the next big thing, and Vince's hand-picked prodigy. And he completely just took it for granted, and ended up being put into the low-card storylines with, like 3B. It was, really just jobbed out and eventually just fell off the map. He was forced to have to go away for a little while, rebuild himself. Let's call a spade a spade. He went out and got jacked. And then
we saw
came back to NXT a couple of years ago, won the NXT championship, then came in here, ran his storylines, ended up with what seemed like about a year's worth of rivalry matches with Roman Reigns, most of them on the losing end.
Yeah.
But finally getting his moment, winning the Rumble, eliminating Brock along the way, and and now they've run all these great stories of now this is the moment that he finally builds himself back up. They've, of course, run the stories of him carrying boulders and kegs through the Scottish Highlands. I'm sure every lady loved all of those.
I did. I can speak for the ladies.
But the fact is, Drew has been, the shiny new toys, if you want to steal a Charlotte quote. But Brock has been Vince's workhorse, and the guy who, when push comes to shove, is going to almost always be the one that gets the benefit of the doubt. Again, same thing we've got here with the Shayna Becky and potentially Goldberg Braun. No crowd potentially makes it more likely that the less favorable choice happens. So maybe it stays on Brock. But it just seems like everything points towards Drew.
So with that being said...
Actually, I'm up first on the last pick.
Yeah.
Anything...
With everything being laid out with the two, and as much as I don't like it, yes, I'm not a fan of Brock, but he has been technically a fighting champion. I think he's been here more this year than any other year, and he's been taking it seriously. Not saying that he didn't any other time. I'm just saying more this year. Who is your pick?
I don't really have to even say my pick. At this point, we've officially made our pick on this, and I'm thinking she's going to agree. She'll speak for herself. I think we made our official pick about 4 weeks ago when we took this very belt and went out and got it signed by Drew himself. Having a belt signed by a person who has not won the title, not just now, but has never won it,